Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations with T. And boy, today we have a show for you. Our guest is none other than Pastor Dee Adekugbe, the founder and executive director of Ruth House. This week, they opened Mandela's House, a shelter space for men of African and Caribbean descent. She joins us to talk about the work she does both at Mandela's House and at Ruth's House. Hello, Pastor Dee. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. How you doing?
It's good to see you again, Pastor T. A couple of years ago, we talked about Ruth House when you were just starting out. Well, now you're so well established now. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. A lot of people have worked hard on this. A lot of efforts have gone into this. So we're very grateful for the outcome.
Can you remind us why was it necessary to have Ruth House? Is it still necessary now?
It's very, very necessary, today more than ever. Alberta is becoming almost 40% immigrant, the population. And you've got China, we've got India, we've got Philippines, and we've got Nigeria, the top four countries that people are emigrating from. And Roots House is more that it's more needed now than ever to meet the needs of Africans, not just Nigerians, but Ghanaians, Cameroons, Sudanese, Eritreans, Ethiopians, those who are emigrating to Alberta, who are looking for help in times of crisis. We see that 3 out of 10 new immigrants from Africa are ending in domestic violence, family crisis, and in divorce. Roots House is trying to work with the communities and with families to identify the root causes and be able to address it so that our community can, move away from that, from domestic violence.
So, what have you found to be the primary root causes of domestic violence in African communities, Pastor D?
Three main primary causes are isolation. People are, coming from a background of community. So when they come to Canada, they experience isolation. There's no support system for them. Another root cause is that of finances, financial frustration. They're coming here expecting to be established, to get a job in their field, only to find out that no, you have to recertify. And with that comes a lot of debt. They've already incurred debts coming to Canada, and now they're expected to incur more debt to recertify and continue their careers. That's causing a lot of financial frustrations for families. And also the Canadian, culture, the system here is different from back home. So when people come here, the way we raise families back home is different to the way families are raised here. And so the challenges that they find with that as well is leading to family crisis. And so we've identified, isolation, financial frustration, as well as, family culture of raising a family here.
Before we look at some of the programs you run, and we're coming to talk about Mandela's House, how bad is the domestic violence problem, be it facing men and be facing women?
It's prevalent, really bad. Like I said, 3 out of 10 new immigrants. We're talking about people less than 5 years. At Ruth's House, we're seeing more people who have been in Canada less than 2 years, experiencing domestic violence, family violence, and it's becoming a pandemic in our community, and hence that's why we exist. And we are trying to do something about this. People are coming with they're immigrating here with expectations, only to get here and find that those expectations are not being met, and they're ending in divorce. We don't want that for our community.
Mm. It's a complicated problem as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what role has faith got to do with in perpetuating domestic violence? Are leaders of faith stepping in, or they're still insisting once married, always married, that kind of theology?
No, 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 no. That's evolving, and faith is also evolving. We're seeing that leaders now are being proactive in addressing domestic violence, not only from the pulpit, but also in their counseling and in the programs that they're offering their congregation. Ruth House is working alongside a lot of churches and faith leaders to equip them with the resources that they need to be able to support their congregation. It's no longer just pray and fast and believe that everything is going to be okay or submit. Where people are becoming more conscientious about what is happening, and faith leaders are rising up. They're stepping up and saying that if people need help, they should get the help that they need, and they should get out before it becomes too late.
Mm. So, what kind of support then does Roots House offer to women facing domestic violence?
We offer an emergency shelter, a home away from home, where you can come and stay with us. You come home to Ruth's House, and we look after you. We take care of your feeding, we take care of your clothing, we take care of your shelter, everything that you need to be able to get back on your feet. We make sure that you have access to cultural counseling, cultural services, and support. Taking into consideration our faith, our community, our values, and making sure that you have that support that you need to be able to move forward. We do not want our communities broken. And so we provide a wraparound service and support by all different service providers from within the community to make sure that anyone that comes to Ruth's House has access to the support and services that they need, be it legal support, counseling, like I mentioned, um, mediation, couples mediation, be it whatever it is that they need, issues with kids and family services. We're there to help.
Mm. So, how long are women allowed to stay at Roots House? So, do you have different houses in different parts of Calgary?
No, we have one house, one home. And, typically, we try to get women help within 30 days, but that is not always possible depending on the complexity of their case, of their file. And so women can stay as long as they need to be able to, get themselves to a place whereby they can either go back home, or they can move into the community, or they can go into a longer term shelter, depending on what they need. Where, Ruth's House will make sure that we provide that support and access.
I'm just wondering, is there enough space for all the domestic violence sufferers in one Roots House? So, could you help us to elaborate on that? How do you help every African woman in just one house?
We can't help everybody. We're dealing with just a tip of the iceberg here. The shelter only accommodates up to 10 women and children, so that's not enough. But Ruth's House is a part of other shelters. So we work with other shelters to make sure that we can find space for women that are fleeing abuse, or if women found spaces in other shelters, they can still reach out to us and we can work with them at the shelter wherever they are. And for those who are in the community, we go into the homes, we go into the community to provide those services and those supports to families in their own homes, to make sure that they are safe, to make sure that they have all the services, at home, in home, for them to remain in their own home. So they don't have to come into our shelter. They can stay in their own homes. They can stay with friends and families, and we will come to them where they are.
Okay, I think I get it now. So, what kind of struggles do you experience in delivering your programs and being the excellence that you are at Roots House? Talk to us about some of the complexities and challenges in doing your work.
Oh, we face a lot of challenges. I think number one, we're still facing that taboo. People don't want to talk about domestic violence. People don't want to be identified with it. So we are like a secret organization that people come to us in private, but they don't want anything to do with us in public. They don't want people to know that they're facing a crisis. But and we're also still battling with you know getting more people to come out and ask for help. There is a lot of needs in our community, and we're hearing it, we're seeing it. 1 in 3. So can you imagine? Even just your own circle of friends, or your place of worship, 1 in 3 is going through a family crisis, but they're not coming out for help. Instead, we're still dealing with that. That taboo that we keep our private stuff at home. We don't want the outside world to know what we're going through. So we hide behind the mask of makeup. We hide behind the mask of clothes. We hide behind the mask of religion. It is well. So, getting information across to people, getting people to come to us when they're in crisis. We're still having those struggles, as well as getting people to realize that it's okay to ask for help.
Mm, mm. And I suppose we all need to do this work where we are a bit more open to talk about not just what's going on in our homes, but also what's going on in our bodies. Because I know the average black person will say it is well. What is wrong with you? It is well. How is your home? I am blessed. And it's a problem, isn't it? I hear loud and clear what you're saying. So why was it necessary to have Mandela's house then?
It was necessary because we have a lot of men in our community who are also facing domestic violence. Again, it's a taboo. Can you imagine a man coming out and saying, "My wife is beating me," or "My partner is beating me"? It's not something that, they will say, "What's wrong with you? You're letting a woman beat you. Are you not a man?" So for men to come out, it's almost non existence. But Ruth House has done a job whereby men have found a safe place with us to be able to come out and ask for help. So now we see more people coming out and saying, "I need help. My family is in crisis." And the second thing that we're finding is this, that when men are being removed from their home, due to family violence, there's nowhere for them to go. There's not a shelter, there's not a space in our city where men who have been removed can go to and get the help that they need to be better men, to heal, to be restored, and to rebuild and be restored. And so Mandela House is critical. It's a critical need in our community for any man who has experienced violence and he doesn't know where to turn to and just needs to get away from his partner or his family and be safe. And also for men who have been removed because they've been charged with using violence, and so they too can have a place whereby they can go and get the help that they need, for rehabilitation and restoration. Everybody needs help, and we do not want our men to be left out, to be neglected in the mix. If we are going to address domestic violence, if we're going to address the issue of family violence, we have to help everybody, and that includes the men.
I kind of like when you bring men into the equation. I think it balances everything else. Like I do ladies' corner, and I keep hearing, "What about the men? What about the men?" So that finally someone is looking after the men, their mental health, their concerns. But what worries me about all this is sometimes is men dwell in their caves. A little bit I know about men. How does Mandela's house? What are the practical steps Mandela's house intends to heal and bring this restoration to broken men? Because typically most men hide in their caves, they don't even talk.
Mhm.
Typically, most men may also be the victims of generational abuse themselves. So there's
Yes.
a lot going on. So how do you intend to do this very complicated work though?
Oh, it's chipping away at, removing one block at a time, one break at a time. The first thing is to make sure that, they have a safe space, a place of no judgment. When you come to Mandela House, you're coming home. You're coming home to your family that's going to help you. You're coming home to a place where we're not going to judge you. We want our brothers to be better. We want our sons to get help. We want our dads, our uncles. We want our cousins to get the help. So when a man is sent to, Mandela House, when a man reaches out to Mandela House and says, "I need a place to go before things escalate and in my home." When, we first of all, we provide a room for you, your own individual space. Secondly, we provide you with cultural counseling, one-on-one counseling, group counseling, group, peer support work, so that you know that you are not alone. You're not the only one going through this issue. Our men seems to think they're the only ones, going through this issue. So we, over the last 2 years, we have established what we called Brothers Connect, where men who have been victims of violence or used violence come together on a weekly basis and meet and get support from each other. So so Mandela House is an extension of the Brothers Connect, the program that we run. So you're going to get individual counseling to address your mental health. You're going to get peer support program with other men together. You're going to get access to legal support. You're going to get access to family mediation. How do we mediate between you and your partner, between you and your family? You're going to get access to education, access to vocation training, access to finances, opportunities for work, whatever you need to be able to bounce back and get on your feet. Mandela House is going to make possible for you. So when you come home, you're coming home to an array of support and services.
To healing. Amen, Pastor D. I see your passion there, and I've got several questions. Is there a plan to bring Manla's house to Edmonton?
You are, I've had that question so many times.
So relevant though. It's so relevant. Like,
I think, charity begins at home. We got to start where my home is, which is Calgary. Yes, definitely we are, if the doors open, why not? Everybody needs help. We're not restricted to Calgary. But at the same time, if people can travel to Calgary, the doors are open. We've had, women come from, BC, come from Ontario, just to access support at Ruth House. We've had men come all the way from outside of, Calgary, from other parts of Alberta to access the Brothers Connect. And I'm sure they'll be accessing Mandela House also. The doors are open to anyone and from everywhere. Come down to Calgary. And if
okay.
it happens that we can expand it to other cities, why not?
Well, amen. I think that could be in your 5 year, your 2 year, 5 year, 10 year plan. And why not? It's so life saving. I like that it's centered around African communities and African values. And I also like when you say they're coming home. You come to Roots House, you're home, away from home. What can media organizations do to help? How can we help to destigmatize domestic abuse?
I think we need to do what you're doing, T. We need to have more conversations. We need to open up media. We need to use every platform to, get the word out that there is help for our community. Let's stop, talking about this behind closed doors. Let's open up every opportunities, every platforms that we all have and begin to address this. I'll tell you one thing, the more I talk on social media, the more people are reaching out from, for online. Last week, we had somebody reach out to us from Nigeria for help. We had somebody reach out to us from Ontario for help. We just need to keep opening up opportunities like this, community conversations. Let's have conversations at places of worship. Let's have conversations everywhere there is opportunity to address this topic, not just domestic violence, but family crisis. When the family is in crisis, how do we address it? What are the support that is there? And then we also need, organizations to come together. Let's band together and let's open up the floodgates of resources to support our communities. Not one agency can do this alone. Ruth's House cannot do it alone. Mandela House cannot do it alone. Everybody, including yourself, all have to come to the table and bring their strengths, bring bring their networks, bring their resources, and say, let's do this together.
Okay, we're coming near to the end of this. Can you share a success story from Roots House that particularly moved you?
Sorry, say that again.
Can you please share a success story from your work at Roots House that particularly moved you?
For sure. We had a client that came to Ruth's House from out of province. and she needed help. She was fleeing abuse, and the police brought her to us in the middle of the night. She was in another province, and then the police picked her up in that province. They heard about Ruth's house in Calgary, put her on a flight to Calgary, brought her to us in the middle of the night. She did not speak a word of English. She was an immigrant, but we rallied around her. We provided her with family. We provided her with education. We provided her with English classes. We provided her with the support that she needed. So, she was able to get back on her feet. Today, she's one of our advocates for Ruth's House. She said Ruth's House changed her life. Ruth's House gave her a family. Ruth's House gave her a home. And she still comes around to Ruth's House every time because that's where her family is. The staff are her family. The community is her family. So, and that's not the only one. We've had many success stories. We've had a woman that, was beaten so badly in her, by her partner. When she came to us, she had lost every ounce of self-confidence. But she had a sisterhood. She had mothers, aunties, she had a community that washed her, that rebuilt her and helped her to find her voice. Today, she graduated from university. She went back to school, graduated, and now she's following her dreams. We make it happen. If you come to us, we're just an extension of the family that you had back home.
That's a very beautiful story. It's also very empowering, Pastor D. Thank you so very much. So, in a nutshell, what advice would you give to men and women who are currently experiencing family crisis and domestic violence, but they are still not sure of where to go? What would you say to them?
Pick up the phone and call us. Call Ruth's House. We are open. Our lines are open 24 hours a day. We're only a phone call away, and help is only a phone call away. And the help you're going to get is private, is confidential. The help you're going to get is tailored to your family, tailored to your specific need. We are not a generalized organization that's one glove fits all. Every service, every program is tailored to the specific need of our sisters, of our brothers. So I tell people all the time, don't suffer in silence. The more you keep a lid on things, the more you protect the abuser, the more you empower them. Take control of your life. Take control of your future because you have a purpose. Everybody has a purpose in life. And don't be a victim. Be a victor of what you've gone through and get out and get help. Not for yourself, not just for yourself, but for others who are looking to you as well.
Before you go, where can people learn more about Ruth's House and Mandela's House?
I would ask that they go on our website, ruthhouse.ca, and they can also give us a call on our 24-hour line, which I'm sure you put up on the screen.
I will do. Thank you very much, Pastor D. I'm going to end the recording, but please stay for 2 more minutes. Well, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.